What's going on, fellas? Today we're going to have a little yarn about the megafauna, some of the things that we can learn, some of the things that we can retrieve forward from the past to really help us today. Now, for those of you who don't know, the megafauna are a type of animal that lived in Australia about 10, 12,000 years ago. Massive, massive animals they were. Wombats the size of cars, kangaroos, and giant goannas, and even a marsupial lion that used to terrorize the Australian continent about 10,000 years ago. And why I bring these fellas up is because the Indigenous Australians at the time decided to get rid of all the megafauna and replace their ecological niche in country with human activity. And that activity was fire stick farming. You can look at that one in your own time. Fire stick farming is a land management technique that Aboriginal Australians have used, and some other people around the world have used it as well. Not near to the scale of Aboriginal Australians, but it has been used in some places around the world. And the main reason I bring it up is because the things that we can learn from the processes that were happening back then are absolutely applicable and required for today. Um, the first thing we'll talk about is the massive diversity of Australia. 10, 12,000 years ago, there was estimated to be 500 different language groups across the continent. Massive differences. A lot of tribes, obviously, in that are not exactly friendly with each other. Some of those are enemy tribes. Some of those people have long feuds, and still were able to coordinate this massive change to the Australian landscape. Now, megafauna's role in the ecosystem was mainly to keep land from getting too overgrown, too thick, and basically maintain the diversity as well. So when megafauna would move through the land, they scrape on trees, they knock down small trees, clear land, and basically create this regenerative destruction throughout the land that kept everything fresh and allowed for constant regrowth. Sunlight is able to come through the canopy. Land is tilled by their walking, allowing new shoots to come through. And when the Indigenous Australians got rid of the megafauna, they had to introduce that fire stick farming to fulfill their ecological niche and keep a strong, healthy country. And speaking on the diversity a little bit more, Australia is an extremely diverse landscape with a hell of a lot different types of environments. So you got to tweak your fire stick farming to make sure that it best serves your environment. Now, just quickly speaking on the danger of the megafauna, they're massive creatures and were extremely dangerous to humans, and some actively preyed on humans. So, to coordinate a wiping out of these megafauna at such a massive scale across the continent required really robust organizational skills. And our Dreamtime stories that reference this time period have protocol and processes in place to teach you how to do that organizing. And that is some of the most useful things that we can glean from it. Some of the stories that I've been given do have those processes in there, how to distribute resources, how to develop relational conduits where those resources can travel along, how to exchange knowledge, how to exchange story, and even how to do uh, relation. So things like marriages, adoption protocol, etc., etc. And we can absolutely utilize this today. In fact, I think we need to, um, especially because while we all might speak a common language in Australia today, I think we're just as disparate. And while we might claim to be like a nation now, I think we're still far from unified. So, yeah, people can 100% learn from those processes that the people done 10, 12,000 years ago to coordinate a massive change to the Australian ecosystem. Um, Doing such a large scale activity required a huge amount of organization, a huge amount of planning, and also required lots and lots of coordination between um, very diverse groups that, like I said, didn't speak each other's language. Sometimes were enemy tribes. Sometimes had long feuds because of certain wrongdoings or whatever that still stood during the time that the megafauna were cleared out. And those fire stick farming techniques had to be taught across the entire continent. as well as had to be applied specifically to whatever type of environment that the people are living. Like I said, Australia has a massive, diverse range of landscapes. So, keeping that in mind, I think that us fellas today need to be able to retrieve forward some of those tools, some of those processes, and really can look back at things like the story I just shared, as well as stories from your own buddy culture, and that's on you. You have to look back, look what your ancestors have taught you, what your grandparents and great grandparents have taught you, and retrieve those things forward to apply them in your new context. And when when you do this, you are really able to make dramatic changes to the landscape in a way that is sort of seen as impossible by people today. Which, yeah, I don't buy it. Absolutely is possible and absolutely is necessary. So think about those things that spread across. I always think about the ollie. Skateboarding. Um, the ollie was invented by one man in like the 70s or something. And now that technique, before that, nobody could do an ollie. And it's now the basis of nearly every skateboard trick, or at least the vast majority of skateboard tricks. And that spread across the entire world in a time before internet. Like that's insane. And if that can move at such a scale so rapidly and then transform into an entire art form that is skateboarding, like, geez, like, isn't that incredible? But it shows you that these things are absolutely possible. And um, skateboarding is a beautiful example of taking the concrete world and reclaiming it for the people. Taking things that aren't built for human beings. They're built for cars and trucks and delivery drivers. Uh, Reclaiming that land and turning it into something that humans can thrive and do beautiful art on. They perform their skateboard tricks and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, keep that in mind. A little bit of food for thought. Hope you enjoyed the gym footage. And we'll catch up to you next time. Stay deadly.